When I stepped away from Christianity and fundamentalist religion, I realized that many extreme versions of Christianity tells its members that conflict should be avoided by making peace, even if it's not safe. So you've heard, or maybe even visited, some homes or Christian churches that instead of having effective communication, resolving differences, or just tolerating other people's opinions, some churches either fight too much and seldomly resolve issues in a constructive way, or they go the exact opposite and they don't fight at all. They just exist. And that's not, either side is unhealthy and isn't constructive behavior. And it's not surprising that especially in my family, who was more Baptist and then later Calvinistic, we avoided confrontation, argument, and resolutions. If you didn't agree with the main opinion in the home, you weren't allowed to speak. They thought it was rebellion or sinful to have disagreements. And some Christians and churches are so desperate to have unity and peaceful environments, they don't want to take the time or the trouble to resolve existing long-term issues and disagreements. There's nothing wrong with wanting unity and a positive environment, but just like a marriage, sometimes you have to express yourself. Sometimes you have to be negative. Sometimes you have to fight, as long as it's constructive and it doesn't hurt people. And of course, even if you're honest and forthcoming, you might hurt somebody, but you should never be intentionally hurtful. Good marriages have fights, arguments, and resolutions. And if unity matters more to you than learning how to work together to have what I call genuine unity and genuine caring for each other, that is much better than fake unity and faking a positive environment. And it's sad that some churches are so desperate to be unified, they don't resolve their issues. It's like people who have discernment, they're not taken seriously in a lot of churches. And if you see something that 60% of the church doesn't see, usually because they don't read the Bible, they don't know what the Bible says, and they just want to be popular. If somebody says that something isn't biblical or it doesn't match the criteria for a leadership position, a lot of people won't even say it because they're too afraid to rock the boat or impact the stronghold of popularity. Religion, they love creating what we call chaos and contention. But have you noticed that a lot of the time, they don't seem to resolve things in a positive, long-term, consistently positive way. And if you don't deal with issues and conflicts, it builds up until it erupts like a volcano. And unity is great. Unity is something to strive for, but not at the expense of people's personal opinions, difference of opinion, and just the ebb and flow of an environment. There are people that leave churches because they're so afraid of rocking the boat because they know what the Bible says, and instead of standing up for what they believe in, churches don't take kindly to people who doesn't take the side of the majority or follow a group of people who want power authority instead of meeting requirements. And this is why forgiveness is pushed in a lot of churches. Instead of dealing with a problem, resolving it, holding people accountable for bad or shady behavior. They use forgiveness as a get out of jail free card, literally, because a lot of people that get forgiven at church are criminals, or they're unethical predators. It may not be illegal all the time, but it's definitely unethical. And when people are more interested in unity, forgiveness, and absolution instead of holding people accountable, making places safe, dealing with ongoing, consistent bad behavior and cover-up, unity may not be the most important thing to strive for at every given moment. And I've been in families, homes, and churches that are so terrified of actually facing a problem instead of hiding it, blaming, avoiding accountability. They just do the exact opposite of what normal people would do. I mean, there's something about religion that uses forgiveness as a, well, I messed up, my bad. It's really hard to find people that are genuinely remorseful and do a complete 180 in future behavior. And religion loves to start conflicts. I mean, 7% of the wars in human history were started by major religions, mostly Christian. And they don't like having what I would call quality, long-term, effective communication. They're big on rules until they have to deal with a problem that isn't a woman being the problem. And I've learned a lot from being in 7 churches. You can say whatever you want, you can read whatever you want in the Bible, but at the end of the day, if you can't have a simple conversation, agree to disagree, respect other people's opinions as long as they're not harmful and hurt people, if you can't even resolve differences and deal with problems instead of covering it up and using forgiveness as a getting away with bad behavior trope, that's not unity. That's like it's like you're trapped. And some behaviors, some activities, once you do it, you can't come back from it. And it's not a surprise that religion loves to start conflicts. But how well do they resolve conflicts without resigning to the fact that maybe some things are preventable if people just deal with things in a healthy, consistent way? Even in my house, unity meant silence. And if you're silent, you might as well be dead, because silence means you support. And I think it's a sad place for religious homes and churches to be in. They do not resolve conflict well. I mean, we have over 40,000 Christian denominations. They don't know how to disagree and agree to disagree. They start their own denomination. And if forgiveness, forgetting, and moving on are required in order to have unity, you better make sure that what you're forgiving, forgetting, and enabling is good behavior. Or else you're not going to have peace. It's called resentment when you don't deal with things. And it's really, really sad how certain religious groups just allow things instead of standing up for what's good. I mean, Congress, they just laid down and let Trump walk all over them. That's not really a surprise. But we have an issue with resolving conflict effectively. And when people would rather leave the church than talk about something somebody's doing in a bad way, we have problems.